what health struggles did you have?
Okay, so I had a lot of health struggles, and I really didn't know what they were. They weren't diagnosed by a doctor. I had fibromyalgia. Easy, that one was easy. I had like pre-MS symptomology. I had constipation my whole life. It actually reached a point to where I had migraine headaches every day, taking lots and lots of like 10, 12, 16 Tylenol a day to keep the migraine headaches at bay. Got to the point where I had liver spots on my face and I was wearing lots of makeup. And it wasn't until I came across two different reflexologists I went to work for, and they let me know what was going on in my body. And so my colon was so impacted and toxic that it was going to all my endocrine system, which explained why I kind of felt like a hypochondriac, because I knew something was very wrong, but I couldn't get it diagnosed, and no doctor was finding anything. So it was very broad spectrum, and yet very, very dangerous, because it was like all the body would just collapse eventually because it was all over in the whole endocrine system. So there was some urgency to be taking care of that. So they didn't really tell me what to do, but they told me I needed to cleanse my colon, and I needed to start there, because that's where the black started, was in the colon, and in iridology it went out to the whole endocrine system. My skin was very dark, and everything else was very lymphatic in the eye with iridology. And so I started to clean the colon, and I studied Bernard Jensen, and I studied other raw food books, and I got to understanding about raw food and enzymes, knowing instinctively that fruit was the good thing to do. And so I did home colonics. I did short fasts with apple juice and psyllium, or just apple juice. I would do them for about a week. And when I would do the fasting and that cleansing, I would do the colonics at home. Colima board is what they're actually called. And then things slowly got better, but through that process, I had a lot of different things that happened. So that whole detoxing, I had a couple of lymph nodes on my neck that they blew out, so to speak, like things came out. And since I was a child, I always was hurt here, and I had lymph problems at my neck, and they cleared out. I was having problems with my right breast, with a lump in there, and I through the nipple, I got a discharge of a very dark color came out through the nipple. Glad to be rid of that. And then also my tongue turned black, and so the tongue is relative to the digestive system, and I believe that was my digestive system healing on a deep cellular level. And it was not a covering, it was the actual villi of the tongue that turned black, and it was black for about a week, and then all of a sudden I'm talking and it started to fall off. And then my tongue was beautiful pink underneath it, and it was pink for about 3 days, and then it turned black again, and then I went through that process again. And so I stuck with it, and I changed my eyes. And in that process, I changed everything. So my hair started growing back thicker, the liver spots went away, lots of different things just got better. No more headaches. I don't take anything for headaches anymore. I don't get headaches unless maybe I'm digging deeper into my detox. But I understand why, and I know what to do for that. So I got so much healing on so many areas, and I recommend this for anyone, because the key to toxicity is what's going on in our body, and the key to knowing what's going on in our body, I believe, is iridology. It really is the window to the soul, and we can we can be feeling fine or have a few little things and think it's nothing, and there could be something really seriously hidden there that can cause us a problem that would be harder to reverse if we didn't have people that can look into the eyes and help us to be able to know where our health is and know what we need to do for ourselves to get healthier. Yeah.
So, did you ever try the medical route?
No, I didn't. I already had a feeling that they weren't going to help me. Part of my issues were that by the time I was 3, I was getting allergy shots. And I knew that the allergy shots were actually suppressing that mucus into my body. I had 4 children, and I learned a lot with them because I wanted to take good care of them. And so as having them, I learned about how the body simply detoxes and stuff. So I took good care of my kids. I had things going on that I didn't know what to do about. So until I learned.
What was the actual detoxification process? Was it a very dedicated one, or was it a mild one?
It was pretty dedicated, although you don't know everything at first. So at first I was doing just raw, so that included vegetables. And but I bought iceberg lettuce. I didn't know, and so it took some time as I got started that way. And I did a lot of fruit. I made smoothies, putting it in the food processor, and mangoes and apples, lots and lots of apples, and got a juicer, started juicing a lot of greens. So it was the fruits and the vegetables. As I got to where I learned more, I knew that fruits were just more what I needed, and cooked food. And then I got so dedicated. When my tongue turned black, was when I was so dedicated. I was 100% raw. I wouldn't, if I went to a restaurant, I had my own dressing. When I went to families' houses, I brought my own food. I started to make salads so that we would all have something raw and I wouldn't be isolated. But I'll contribute, and I'll bring a salad, or I'll bring the watermelon, or something like that, so that to take the pressure off of people looking at me as if I'm awkward from what they're eating. So I just would bring it as if everybody wanted it.
Sure, absolutely. And how quickly did you notice changes in your pain levels, just overall symptomology?
Wow, this has been a few years back, so let me think for a second. I noticed, what I noticed right away was I felt worse. And I think it's because I was that toxic. So I got weak, but I knew that I was toxic, and that's why I did get a Kalima board, and then I would feel better. And I would read things about people feeling so good when they detoxed, and I actually wondered why I felt so bad. But I believe it was the level of the toxicity. When you have that dark color in your eyes, that black color in your eyes, it's a lot. So I didn't feel that good until probably, 6 months into it, and then I started feeling good, and I knew I was on the right path. My husband kept being a temptation to me. He wanted to go out to eat. He wanted to have time with me, and it was to drink a beer or to go out to eat. And when I would do that with him, I would notice I didn't feel good, and I would feel real frustrated that I was there and that this was happening to me, and I emotionally needed to be able to do that without being tempted. And then that made for an emotional journey.
And what detoxification symptoms did you go through?
There was some emotional ones. There were times I just cried, and I would cry about my parents not loving me, and that I learned that goes back to childhood and just how I interpreted the situation. And so there was a lot of emotions. There was a lot of crying, the tongue being coated, the lymphatic blowing out, the chest, that coming out. You didn't sweat, so that was another thing that I didn't do, is I didn't sweat. So I was also, through the detoxing, taking Epsom salt baths and trying to sweat. So finally, when I did get to start sweating, that was good. I also didn't have hair on my legs. I didn't have to shave. And so those things, like, you can think that they're good, but you know that something's wrong when you have that. So that's where I was. And the detox symptoms were very weak. I was weak. I was tired. I went through dark circles under my eyes. So I did not look pretty. I got very skinny. And people at Walmart would say, "Oh my gosh, have you got cancer?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm getting rid of it." And it was kind of discouraging. But yeah, I looked rough, and then probably 8 months to a year into it, I gained weight, and I started really feeling good. So it takes a while.
And what effect has the raw diet had on your state of mind and emotions and how you feel in yourself?
Oh my gosh, so awesome. I was a high anxiety person before, and the anxiety was due to what was going on in the body. I'm much calmer. I can think clearly. I'm much more grounded, and yet so much more spiritual. So it's some people, if they don't understand it, that can be a dichotomy. But yeah, to be able to be really spiritual and stay grounded with where we are in the present, that's a huge benefit. Not to mention to be able to have my hair, and I always wanted my hair to grow back after a situation where I lost a lot of hair, and I felt like I'm eating God's food. God, give me the hair that I'm supposed to have. So that's one of the benefits, and just to be able to do yoga and to be able to stretch and do back bends like I did when I was a kid. Those things are awesome. I can run, I can play, I can do things and enjoy life.
And do you find the diet enjoyable?
Yes, I do. I would not want to eat the way other people eat. Yes, to me, cheating is to have a salad.
Wow. Wow. And are you still working on anything?
I am still working on things. I mentioned the allergy shots that I was given when I was like 3 until about 8 or 9, and that it hardened the mucus in my tissues, and I want to get that out, and that takes a lot of stuff on a cellular level. It takes the high energy of the fruit, and it's going to take the astringent herbs, and it's going to take some time of dedication for me, and I believe that it's also going to get those emotions. They're going to come up at that time, and I might be weak because of my past experience. I know I need to take that time to do that and be prepared, but I know that I probably shouldn't put all that thought into that. I should know that I'm going to be able to fly through it and it'll be just fine. So I think that's key for anyone when we go to do this, is to watch yourself, watch what we're thinking that it's going to be like I just did, and work at keeping it positive, because our mind has a lot to do with how the outcome will be.
Okay, thank you so much. And is there anything else you would like to share that we didn't mention that you find important?
I think that it's very important to clean our bodies, to clean our minds. I think that is to be closer to God. It's a spiritual connection, and it's healthy for everyone. And do it for your children. Get rid of our emotions for our children, and even for our parents, because it'll affect everyone around us. So I think that's very important. And I think I bless you.
Thank you so
your
much.
journey.
Thank you. You too.
Love you.
Thank you.